This popped up on NHL.com a couple of days ago, though, Charlie, from Adam Kimelman, who covers the Flyers for NHL.com. And it was 3 questions facing the Philadelphia Flyers. And honestly, yeah, pretty much right. Like, realistic expectations for Michkov. We will absolutely do our prediction show some point closer to the season. But that's a big deal. Like, he's the favorite to win the Calder Trophy. What exactly does that mean? And projecting forward, is he going to be the star this team so desperately needs?
Michkov is the number one storyline of this season, without
this season would be. Listen, we got into it yesterday. They're going to evaluate some guys, and there's a lot of important things. Number 3 is among them. But, like, without Michkov, from a general viewing standpoint, the season would be pretty pointless. Yeah.
It would be.
There would be things.
It would be tougher for us to sell.
After getting through last year, it's like, and all that stuff we did last year, we're going to be finding out more about again. We need more data collected. Now, with Matvey, it's like, and the number one thing we need to know, we're going to at least get the rookie year of this year. So that's huge. How do they fix the power play? The answer to that is a lot to do with number 1.
Sure,
and
we would hope. Yeah.
With maybe the coach storyline, maybe the second most important guy we're going to find out this year, Jamie Drysdale. Yeah. I think those two, that's the big difference, right?
I think the Drysdale situation is separate from the power play, but I agree that most people view them as like for me, yes, if Jamie Drysdale is good on the power play, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But if Jamie Drysdale racks up a ton of points in the power play, but still absolutely gets obliterated at 5-on-5, I'm not going to care that much that he's good on the power play.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But a lot of people will because they'll look at the fact that he had 50 points and be like, oh, he's great.
There's a lot that goes in, and then it's just like, oh, so he's small Rasmus. Cool. You know, because he did that in Buffalo. Yeah. And it turns out he has very little offensive upside in the real world and very little application to the, like, he's okay now.
Yeah.
He's a third pair defenseman. If that's what Drysdale turns out to be, it's like, oh. Yeah. Kind of a lot of the same parallels there. But, like, just looking at the power play, what could be different from last year to this year? And the failed power plays of the last several years. It's like, okay, they have Maffei. We'll see. He's supposed to be the straw that stirs the drink there, at least in our minds. And Drysdale, a viable, perhaps, defenseman in that at the top.
You would hope
so. Those are the two things that could be different from last year. And, yeah, like, I bet you Tippett's better. I bet you Forster's better. Like, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you need these two guys who haven't really contributed to be the things that make it different.
Yeah, the power play is fascinating to me. We'll talk about this a ton in September and October and probably throughout the year.
December and January.
But I care less. I understand why, like, and I'm sure the way Adam Kimelman presents it in his piece, and I'm good friends with Adam. He's a good guy. But I'm sure the way he presents it in his piece, and I understand why he would do this, is, you know, Flyers just missed the playoffs by just a little bit. If the power play is just a little bit better, they might make the playoffs. And that's understandable. It's an NHL.com article, and you're trying to get people to click because they want to see if the Flyers are going to get better this year. I don't really care. Like, my view of why it's important to fix the power play has very little to do with the fact that I think it's important that they can squeeze another 5 or 6 standings points out of this team if they get the power play better. My view of why it's important to get the power play going is I want to see what these players, what their statistical profiles will look like and how we view them in terms of their ultimate upside. I want to know what these players look like if they're on a functional power play. Like, I will say this right now, and fine, like, you can clip this if you want. It's fine. I don't actually give a shit whether they make the playoffs or not next year. It's going to matter, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how, it's so important for, for experience, and the guys really want to do it, and whatever. Like, at my core, I don't care. What I care about is whether the players on the team develop and appear to have the upside to be the core of a contending team. Because whether the Flyers make the playoffs this year or not, they ain't winning shit. Maybe they win a round in a best case scenario. I want the Flyers to win a cup. So it doesn't really matter to me. It matters to me in a visceral sense because if the Flyers make the playoffs, like, our numbers will look better because people will care more, and that will be great because my job security is partially driven by whether people watch the show and listen to the show and read my articles and subscribe to be diehards. And if a team's better, that's great. But I want the Flyers to win a cup. And to me, it doesn't really matter that much whether they do that by making the playoffs this year or not. But if the power play is better, as a result, Travis Konechny's numbers would look better, which means his contract looks better. Joel Farabee's numbers will probably look better, which means he might not get traded. Morgan Frost might not get traded because his numbers will look better. Jamie Drysdale will not create the same visceral anger from sections of the fan base who are convinced he's a bust if he's racking up 20 points a year on a power play. There are a lot of things that will change in terms of our perception of the players if the power play gets better. I don't really care whether the power play getting better makes them slip into the wild card slot. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what it might change in terms of the way we view the guys on the team.
And I think, like, as we've said so many times, most of the best teams in the league have not only a decent power play, a pretty damn good one. If these players can make up the core of that for 2 years from now when it does matter.
Exactly.
Like, that's what I care about. Like, ultimately, yeah, man, like, we'll get to number 3. If every other aspect of this team is at least decent, and it's like, yeah, man, but you got an 870 team save percentage, so you're getting the 7th pick. Like, cool.
Yeah. Works for me.
Honestly, yeah, we have some big questions in net. What else is new? But
in theory, you get one guy,
yeah,
and then
like,
you could solve
at
them.
least then it's like, we don't need 5 guys. Yeah, we need a number 1 goalie, sure, but it's not 5 guys, it's 1.
Right.
And that would be pretty cool if that was the biggest problem.
Yeah, agreed.
And unless something dramatic happens, they're going to need a true 1C and all that stuff. But, like, yeah, man, if they're at 22% on the power play, that's an element of the team we can at least put a check mark next to, as well as a coach that we don't need to replace.
And well, that to me also is the big thing with the power play, why it's not like, it's going to be extremely frustrating if the power play is god awful again, because we have to watch all 82 games and it makes us want to gouge our eyes out.
It's just so bad.
But I would like to believe that if the power play is real bad again, they're going to fire the coach. And that should solve the problem. At least make it so they don't have a 12% success rate anymore.
Like, if Mishkov looks at least like a rookie of the year contender at 5-on-5, like, he's going to have somewhere between a 45 and 65 point season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jamie Drysdale's healthy and there's some offensive upside there. And the power play is still like, yeah, man, Forster, he's going to have another 20-plus goal season. We're going to see Tippett push 30 goals. Like, and then they're still at like 15%, which would be a 3% upgrade over last year.
Real bad.
It's still horrible.
Yeah.
Like, if they like are at 15% and like all these guys look good at 5-on-5, it's like, well, this just simply can't be. The other team has one less guy. Yeah. You know?
That's something that the Flyers, the brain trust, really needs to avoid. Because just in terms of the way they present it, because I remember when Chuck Fletcher made the case when the Flyer, I think it was during his final year, and it was in, I think, November, December, and he said, well, we're the 6th most improved team in the league. But it was coming off the year when they had the 5th overall pick.
Yeah.
And understandably, fans lost their minds because it's like, okay, maybe that is technically true, but when you're one of the worst teams in the league, it's not acceptable to just be the 6th most. Like, they cannot try to, midway through the season, say, well, you know, our power play has improved 5 percentage points. Like, yeah, but that's not enough.
It's still below
awful
average.
They need, that's the kind of pitfall that I really hope that Jonesy in particular can stop, like Briere from trying to sell to a fan base that understandably is going to call bullshit on it immediately.
That's one of those things when Jonesy, I ask him a question that sets him up to go, Bill, I know the market. That's why he's in this job.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe you improve 4%. No team in the league improved 4%. That puts you at 16%,
when you're starting
horrible.
at 12.
Yeah, like
that's not enough.
16 is still horrible. No, that is like the exact sort of shooting yourself in the foot from a public relations standpoint. That's why Jonesy's here.
Yeah.
Like that, his relationships, all that stuff. But like those simple things that they did for years where it's like, guys, I'm the biggest Flyers fan. Like, I'm your biggest proponent here. I'm telling you what you're saying is dumb as shit.
Yeah.
Like what it's just like they're trying to come up with something. In trying to come up with something, just frame it as it's bad and it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Like plain and simple.
Yeah.
Do not try to sell me. Who's this working on?
Yeah.
Like I want to root for you here.
Yeah.
Don't shoot yourself. They can't possibly come up with that reasoning.
Exactly.
And I think at least
I'd like to think they have enough of an understanding that is a bad idea.
Maybe in the marketing, public relations, at least they have the smart enough people in the organization to handle that and not make me fly off the handle when you say something dumb, that fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And number 3 here, and this is a big one, especially now with the Kolosov, up in the air. Like if one of these guys really,
we'll see.
Who the hell knows? Like, no one's expecting him, but it's still very possible he just shows up. Like I don't know. Like if they can just figure out the goal, like one of these guys. Like if they just grab it, and it's sustainable. Like if it's just he's putting up crazy numbers. Like okay, probably not. But it's like we have a good solid starter here. One of these guys can grab that. That's at least something a good starting point for the goaltending position.
If Sam Ersson, like my realistic hope for Sam Ersson is plays in 50 games and gives us something like a 908 save percentage, where you're like, and maybe slightly above league average.
908 to 912 is what is my
that would be great
target,
because it's like okay, well he's not papering over obvious flaws because he's not throwing out there a 920 and turning this team into a playoff team that shouldn't be a playoff team. But he's also showing he's a good NHL goalie and not just sucking. And then having everybody be like, okay, well, he's not an NHL goalie. Fedotov is an NHL goalie. Kolosov is in limbo. Zavragin's 2 years away at least. Bjarnason hasn't ever had a good season in the WHL.
It's just like he should be good.
Yeah, well, it's like his team stinks.
Yeah.
Which, like, true.
So does this one.
Good point.
Great. So he's solving what for
really
us?
Good point.
He solves what problem for us? No, it's like, can the goalie tandem be successful? I have no idea. Honestly, if the answer is yes or no, there's positives on both.
Yeah.
Like no is, all right, if everything else, like I said with the like if everything else is decent and the goalies suck and they end up picking in the top 10 again, great.
Yeah.
If one of these goalies locks it down and it's like, for him, if Ersson puts up a 930, it's like, yeah, man, because they gave up 35 shots a game. Of course he had a high save percentage.
Well, not necessarily.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying you can give up 35 shots a game and have a bad goalie and then be real bad.
Yeah. Just like, mathematically here, he stopped 33 of 35. You probably don't need to give up 35 shots a game. That means the team is bad.
But I don't think a Torts team is
They've been really good at shot suppression, especially last year.
Yeah.
But I think it's good either way. At least the answer can be a positive either way. Mm-hmm. Like that. This one is if the power play sucks, that means like there's something wrong.
Yeah.
If Matvei Michkov doesn't live up to these expectations, like shit.
Yeah.
The goalie thing, we can spin this.
Yeah.
I can find a path for it not to kill them either way.
Agreed.
That's what I'm going to go with on that one. All right. So that was Adam Kimelman's 3 questions, and thank you, NHL, for putting out some content for us. I love when other people write articles. It's like, oh, Charlie wasn't up till 6. Like, he puts a lot of effort into these things. So if someone else is giving us content I can talk about it, I'll gladly use it.
We all silly like the mayor.